I'm sharing my screen. Let me know when you guys can see it.
We can see it.
Okay. So today we'll be going through what plurality is, what's the bigger concept here, why this technology is being created, and at the end we'll have a short hands-on session as well. And in the end, I'll open the round for questions where you can, discuss your ideas. If you're facing any bottlenecks or any problems, one member from our development team is also here, so we can then figure out a way how to resolve those issues. So as you guys know, plurality is being created as the open context layer for the web. And to really understand what this means, I want to go down the go down the path of history and talk a little bit about how internet was created and how things happened as internet progressed. So the as the famous terminology goes, we are now in the phase which we call as Web 3, but in early 2000s, the phase of the internet was called Web 1.0, and it was static and contextless. Do you guys remember Yahoo? If anyone here were using Yahoo, you would remember that it was just a static feed where it showed you some entertainment, some news. You could just view it, but you could not interact with the content at all. So it was like a one-way communication channel, similar to how television was at the time. So Web 1.0 was exactly the same. Then, as internet progressed, we went on to the generation which we call as Web 2.0, which introduced contextual interactions. What we mean by contextual interactions is that not only were the users able to consume information, but they were also able to interact with the content online. And this is the first point in history where people actually started leaving a trace of their personalities online. This is also called as digital footprint. And we all have a digital footprint which resembles or mimics the way we are in real life. So every time you like, comment, share something, you post something, you're essentially putting a piece of yourself out there for the world to see. And this actually was the one of the biggest success of Web 2.0 and why the internet became such a big thing that it is today. Web 2 also introduced a very important concept, and that was the concept of a profile. Profile is something that we all are very familiar with. We all have probably many different profiles. An average person has 7 different profiles, but normally people have even 10 or 15 different profiles. So you have your Facebook profile, your LinkedIn profile, your GitHub profile, and profiles serve as the backbone of the Web2 platforms. Without a profile, a platform cannot be imagined. So, what was exactly the purpose of profile? A profile had three unique characteristics or functionality that they were designed to offer. These were that profiles identify users within a platform. You can uniquely identify that this user is this profile is this user or this profile is this user. But this identification was within a platform. Then profiles contextualize interactions and they also personalize experiences. But all of this was inside walled garden. So it was siloed, it was fixed to a particular platform. So, what do these identification, contextualization, and personalization mean? Let's dive into that a little bit more. So, profile identify your personas. What's your persona? So, as human beings, we believe that we exist in the same way as the person everywhere in every context, but that's not true. Actually, we act differently based on the environment we are in and based on how the environment interacts with our human body that elicits the reaction that it gets from us as a person. What I mean by this is that, for example, when you go to your office, you have your official persona and you act professionally. Let's say when you're with your friends or with your family, you're more relaxed, you crack more jokes, you're a different person there. Similarly, if you go in a very different setting, you'll act differently. This exact behavior manifests itself in our online lives as well. For example, if you go to somebody's LinkedIn, even the choice, or their Facebook or GitHub, even the choice of profile pictures that we choose is different because we want to represent a different persona of our lives. For example, when you go to LinkedIn, you'd see a headshot, maybe in a coat or in a professional attire with bright light, and you're mostly talking about professional achievements, things you did, certifications that you hold, that kind of stuff. On Facebook, most of the people choose to share, for example, the profile picture of where they traveled last. For example, you had an international trip and you would post a picture of there. And you also talk about more personal life there. On GitHub, well, nobody puts a profile picture on GitHub. So for most people, it's just a random avatar that GitHub generates for you. So these are our different personas, and profiles help identify the persona that we have on that platform. And that is why one person has can have multiple profiles. The other thing that profiles do is they contextualize your interaction. So we are all very smart people here, right? And no matter where the information comes from, we will just take it at face value, correct? Well, all of the people who I talk to, they say that they would take the information at face value, no matter where the information is coming from. But the reality is that that's not true. We actually take the context around the information and then we use that to process that information. I have on the slides, you can see two pictures. So let's imagine that there are two people. One person has a blue tick and around about 50,000 followers, and then there's another person who has no tech and he has like 26 followers. Both of them are saying the same thing. Let's say something recent happened, some blockchain upgrade, some legislation, something happened. Both of them are saying the same thing. However, based on the contextual information around the profile, whose information are you more likely to whose information are you most likely to trust? Whose information are you most likely to interact with, to like, to share, to retweet? Majority of the people would go for the person with the more credentials or the person with the more context around whatever is being talked about. And that is why profiles contextualize your interactions. Then the third very, very, very important thing that profiles do is that they personalize your experiences. Personalization is the cornerstone of Web2 platforms today, and they are so inbuilt and inherent that we don't even realize that what's happening behind the scenes. For example, when you go on your Instagram feed, your entire feed is curated based on the things that you like to see. So based on the people you have followed or the interests you have, your feed gets curated. Similarly, recommendation. When you go on Netflix, it recommends you the movies that you're most likely to enjoy based on your viewing history. And that is why you don't have to spend like hours and hours and hours trying to find the right movie for you, but it just recommends you. And most of the times that works. So you just go there, in 5 minutes, you find something interesting based on your taste, and you just watch that. Then there's discovery. For example, how does a person reach the information that is relevant to them in as little time as possible? That is discovery. Therefore, when you go on Facebook, on your left or right side, you see people you may want to follow, or groups you may want to join, or communities you may want to join. That's discovery. That's making it easier for the person to find the information that's relevant to them. And this is how profiles personalize your experiences. However, what's the downside? What's the catch here? The catch is that profiles actually silo your context. Profile is limited to one platform. You cannot take your profile from one platform to another. You cannot use your Facebook profile to another platform. You cannot take your Twitter profile to another platform. And as the internet grew and these profiles became more and more enriched, and you created more and more data on these platforms, there at this point, profiles are actually a business or competitive advantage. And these big platforms are actually competing on the profile data that they have, because their entire business model, how they show ads, how they push things, how they boost posts, everything is based on the profile that you have created there. However, you don't really truly own your profile either. Anytime you say something that's against the platform policy, your profile can get censored, it can be deleted. You actually have very little control over your profile, even if you have like 50,000 followers, even if you're a content creator and have spent like 10 years of your life building a decent following, you still don't own your profile. It's just one violation and your profile is gone. And that is where these are the pain points where Web3 actually came into being and Web3 showed promise. So, what did Web3 do? When Web3 came, one of the biggest things that they offered that appealed to the masses was ownership. And with Web3, you have control over your keys, your assets, your NFTs, everything that's tied to your wallet. You have true control over, because nobody can take it away from you, nobody can delete it. And that was one of the biggest points that made Web3 so famous. Web3 also introduced a very interesting thing. It introduced a very new paradigm for interactions. Web3 provides privacy for users but transparency for actions. That means that the address is anonymous. You have no idea who's the person behind the address, but the actions are transparent. So every transaction that happens on chain is completely transparent. But in in doing so, in making the wallet anonymous or pseudonymous, we completely lost the context. We left behind context in Web 2. So if you look at the anatomy of a wallet has an address, some transactions, maybe some NFTs or SPTs in there, but it has no information about the user's social graph, users or wallet holders' interests, their context. So there's virtually no information about the wallet holder, which is fine for financial applications, but you cannot create a platform and engage users without having an idea of what the user might be interested in. And this resulted in the data poverty and fragmentation in Web3 platforms. And because of this data poverty and fragmentation, the user experience on Web3 platforms is terrible. If you go on Web3 social platforms today, there is no feed curation. If anybody here has used Lens or Farcaster, you would see that you just see random posts from everywhere. So, like everything that anyone is posting, you see on your feed. There is no curation. If you go on Web3 video streaming platforms, there is no recommendation. You just see everything out there, and you have to really manually search through things to find the right content. And therefore, it's the experience is like just like Web 1. There's no context. There's no information about the user. No way to think about what the user might like, and that is why the platform experience on Web3 is not good. And we have seen again and again that if there if you personalize the experiences of user, if you provide users a good experience, then they get engaged, and engagement leads to more transactions. That means that for the blockchains as well, it's good if they can provide platforms that engage users. And we have seen that, this again and again in the past few years in blockchain. So, for example, in 2018, CryptoKitties was one of the smart contracts that basically broke Ethereum and brought out all the scalability issues of Ethereum. And it was just a game where people were having fun and people started interacting with the blockchain a lot, and it basically broke up. Similarly, last year, uh, Coinbase launched their layer 2, which is called Base. And what they did, after its launch in the first month, Base became the most profitable layer 2. And the secret sauce was not something that the blockchain did. The secret sauce was that they started doing a podcast with Jesse Pollock and some of the famous influencers that people want to hear, and they did it on the blockchain. And people just wanted to hear the podcast, and that is why they started using the chain. So because people were engaged, the transactions increased as well. And that is actually the power of engagement and power of engaging platforms on a blockchain. So I think I've made a strong case for why we need a context in Web3 platforms. The thing is that adding context to Web3 platforms is something that should be done with a lot of care, because we need to think about standardization. We need to think about how to store this context, because everything that's on the blockchain is transparent and permanent, and you cannot revoke it. So if you start putting people's information on chain, that's a very bad idea. So what you need is a secure private storage, and then you need to have a safe exchange mechanism so that the applications and users can collaborate on the context information or on the data in a safe way, so that the user's privacy is always preserved. And that is what we are doing at Plurality. In Plurality, we are creating an open context layer on top of which you can create smart profiles. These smart profiles are actually self-custodial profiles where you have true ownership of your data. These profiles are interoperable, so you can actually use the same profile that you create on one platform. You can just take it with you to another platform, similarly to how you use a USB stick. So in a USB stick, you can take your data, you can like plug it in one computer, and then you can like plug it out and take it on another computer, and your data that's inside the USB storage still stays there, and you get to decide where you plug your USB. So these smart profiles operate in a similar manner. These smart profiles are created against wallet address, and you can have different plural uh, profiles, because as we discussed before, human beings have different personas. They act differently in different environments, and their online lives should represent that as well. We have implemented decentralized identifiers and zero knowledge proofs in the whole stack so that the privacy is preserved. And lastly, we are going to launch very soon launch an easy login solution along with the profiles as well, which would make it very easier for users to just create a wallet with their emails or socials without having to care about MetaMask at all. For the users, profiles provide them more autonomy and control. Users can see what information is being uh, transferred, and they can have these portable profiles. For the D apps, having access to contextual user data allows them to create better experiences, which would lead to more retention. Overall, since we are in a hackathon, I wanted to share like a full list of what's possible with Plurality. Plurality is still a work in progress, so there might be some things that you're not able to achieve right now, but might be able to achieve in a month or two. But what you can do is, like, the first thing is wallet and chain abstraction. This is something that we are working on this release, and this would allow you to create wallet addresses through your emails. So that would be the wallet and chain abstraction. However, you cannot do it today, maybe in a month. Then you can have profile gating. Profile gating means that based on the information that you're getting from a profile, that the app decides what if it wants to do some kind of access control. For example, if you're a DAO, you can decide who you want to allow into your who you want to give out membership to, based on the profile information. Or if you're a social platform, you can create gated communities based on the profile information. You can also have a proof of social reputation, which basically tells like uh, how much of your social activity actually how reputed is that. So based on a social activity, we can give out proof of social reputations. And lastly, you can give out points and scores, so people who have more followers can get, let's say, more points, or anything of the sort. So you can decide some kind of points and scoring scheme, and based on the profile information you can implement that. So most of these other than ZK profile proofs, most of these are possible to do even today. Then there's noise reduction. Noise reduction means that you curate the content. you personalize users' experience based on their profile information, and you help them get to the relevant content fast. This is also something that you can achieve today. um, we have a few integrations that are providing some contextual data, but with each month we'll be adding more and more integration. So this uh, you will have access to more and more data to figure out what the user is interested in and how do you curate the content. And lastly, interoperable experiences. So with this is something that we're working on. You cannot implement this right now, but smart profiles will also allow for interoperable metaverse experiences, because we are going to connect different blockchains. So your different wallets on different blockchains, you can connect them to the same profile as well. And that would lead to an interoperable experience. But this is a work in progress, so you cannot do this right now. Now, let's go for the technical hands-on. For the technical hands-on, your biggest help is going to be the documentation. You can use editor of your choice. You need Node.js version 20, npm, a MetaMask, an installed MetaMask, and Twitter and a Facebook profile. So because I want to keep some time in the end for the question answer sessions as well, so I'm just gonna explain the code on Visual Studio and then just show you the, rather than following the whole tutorial step by step. So the first thing that you need to do is after creating your React or TypeScript project, the first thing that you need to do is you need to install this Plurality Social Connect. The step-by-step process is already documented on the docs. But after you install this Plurality Social Connect, what you need to then do is you go to your app.tsx and you do this import. So import Plurality Social Connect from the Plurality Social Connect npm package. And then the second thing that you need to do is that you need to import the tag. So we recently pushed a change, and there's a little bit of change. So if you guys already tried out the Plurality Social Connect and tried to like play around with the code, you might need to do like some minor changes, because a new version was pushed out today based on some of the feedback that we got from amazing hackers in this group. And so basically what this tag means is that this is the embedded profiles widget, and here you need to in the options you need to give the apps that you want to add, and that's Facebook and Twitter. Right now you need to add both of these because both of these get displayed. And then what you need to do is, this basically allows you to connect your Facebook and Twitter profiles and get the data to the integrating the app. However, once you have that, after that you would also need to interact with the Web3 function. So for example, later on you might need to get information of let's say the connected account. You might need to send some transactions, you might need to write something to a contract or read from a contract, and this is like a list of all the ethers.js functions. So this is a wrapper library over ethers.js, so developers here would know what ethers.js is. And to call the ethers.js function through the widget, what you need to do is that you need to um, call this call these functions like for example, if you want to get all accounts, you would say plurality social connect dot get all accounts, or plurality social connect dot get connected account, message signature, balance, send transaction. You can send any of it like this, but the response would actually come in the event handlers. So you, for each function, you would need to set up an event handler, and the response would come inside the event handler. And finally, you need to wire these event handlers with the properties in Plurality Social Connect. This is already uploaded on GitHub as well. You can see the demo application there. Might look a lot like right now, but if you start to like implement it, it would hardly take like 5 minutes. And we'll be available here as well if you need anything. I'd also like to show the Social Connect integration. So with the Plurality Social Connect, you would get this button. Once you click on it, I've already connected the MetaMask, so it skipped the first screen where you could connect the MetaMask. But let's say you now try to connect Twitter. I think I already connected Twitter with this address as well. Because I already connected the Twitter with this address as well, so it didn't open another pop-up and didn't ask me to connect it again. But let's say I try to connect Facebook and then I add my password. I didn't connect my Facebook with this address before, so that's why it asked me to open the to enter my password. And now I have to confirm that I want data to be extracted from my Facebook and in an encrypted way linked to my MetaMask address. So I just allowed it. I pressed sign in, and that is why. And this is an alert that's coming from the embedding D app, and it's showing all the data that's returned. So you could see that from Twitter, it shows that this person has these interests. So for example, my interests are crypto, social media platforms, crypto web3 social, news, entertainment, and some profile data. And then from my Facebook, it says that for example, I'm interested in athlete Mary Kom. That's an Indian athlete. Since I saw a few Indian members here, so you guys would know what Mary Kom is. Then some. Okay, there's Sonu Kakkar in there as well. Yeah, I think I need to update my music tastes. Okay, so the encompassing the app got all the interest, and since I already connected both my Facebook and Twitter, so there's nothing more to do, and that's why this connected button is disabled now. Now these are all the buttons. So if we go back to the code, you would see that I just created a lot of buttons, one for each of the Web3 functions. So going back, I tried to get all connected accounts. It showed me that the I just only have one connected account, so it just showed me this one. Then I can say get connected account. If I try to sign a message, it would open my MetaMask and it would show me that this is the message you're trying to sign. I can either sign it or reject it. If I reject it, it would I just put a lot of alerts in there to make it easy for you. Of course, you can handle it in any way you want. So it is showing that action rejected. You can verify the balance. You can get balance. So I don't have anything in this account, so it's just zero, so on and so forth. So that is it from my side. I am open for questions now. So, okay, if there are no questions, would you guys might be willing to share what you guys are working on?
I had a question, if I'm
Hmm.
audible.
Okay.
So is it persisting the data that it's fetching from from the plurality protocol? So as you said, like you showed that it skipped the MetaMask thing. So it probably read those credentials from the session, and then that's why it skipped it.
Um, uh, s- no, it didn't get, yes. So there's something in the session as well. So the information in the session is that this MetaMask already has, let's say, this social platform connected. But the actual information is not stored in the session. The actual information is stored on decentralized storage in an encrypted way. We're using an underlying protocol called Ceramic for this, where we actually store your user profiles, but since they're encrypted with your DIDs, so that's why nobody can see it unless you explicitly allow the DI. So during the whole process, when you press the Twitter and or Facebook, you're giving consent for this data to be shared with the D app as well. And that's why it takes some time because it fetches the data and then it decrypts the data and then it shares it with the D app.
Okay, pretty cool.
Okay. So maybe if I'd ask, what are you working on? What's your plan for the hackathon? And have you already maybe tried it? Okay. maybe somebody else. I know that Krish and Shriyash already had some ideas. I think it was your team that connected on a call with me.
Uh,
Oh, no, that was Shivani, I think.
yeah. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello, we can hear you.
Um, yeah, so we have connected earlier. Actually, I'm working on the project, and I just want to ask, like, just as we can connect MetaMask and get the provider and signers.
Hmm.
So, is there any method? Is there any similar method to do so, such that, so like we can contact with the smart contracts that we can do the transactions and read the data from the smart contract? Are we supposed to use the Ethers.js, or do you provide something for the same?
So if I understand your question correctly, you want to also see the information. Do you want to do transactions or do you want to read the transactions from chain? So from the
Actually,
wrapper
I
that we
want
have
to do
provided,
both.
so
So,
from the wrap, I'm so sorry to skip. I cannot hear you properly. Okay, maybe let me try to explain a little bit both scenarios so that whatever your question is, it gets answered.
hello, sorry.
So yeah, so if you want to do transactions on a certain contract, maybe mm, I can actually share my screen and show you again. So let's say if you want to do transactions, so there are two functions in the wrapper library that you can use. For example, you want to send transaction, which means you want to send a certain amount of Ethereum to another address. So this is the function that you would need to use. So you use Plurality Social Connect dot send transaction. This is the to address, so where you want to send the payment to, and this is the amount of the payment. So this is how you do a send transaction. Now let's say you want to interact with a contract, which means that maybe you don't want to send Ethereum, you want to send a token, or you want to call another contract. Then you would need to use uh, this function. So this is write to contract. So write to contract, in that you would give the contract address. This could be any contract or any ERC20 token contract or NFT ERC721 contract, any contract. And then you give out the ABI. ABI is basically the function signatures of the smart contract. So this is something that you will need to give. And then you would need to send the method name and the parameters, comma separated parameters. So right now, this example that's also on GitHub. It's public. You can view it. It's also linked in the docs. This example uses a very simple smart contract that just stores an integer and retrieves an integer. So that's why you would see that in write to contract, I just gave the contract address, the ABI. I said I want to store, and the value that I need to store is 5. And then later on, if I want to read from contract, I'd use the same contract address. I would give out the ABI, and then I would give the method name, which is retrieve. And since this retrieve method has no parameter, so therefore you don't see anything afterwards. um, this is all written in the documentation, but if you get stuck at any point, if you don't understand this, just message us on Discord and my team will get back to you. And other than that, if for example you want to like index data from the blockchain, you want to see against a particular smart contract all the transactions that happened against that, then for that I think you need to use a subgraph. So in this hackathon, there's another partner called the Graph Protocol, and they have this indexing technology where you can like write subgraphs, and you can use that to see all the transactions or all the operations that happened on a particular smart contract. So subgraph would be the right technology for that kind of um, functionality. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's clear now. Actually, I was asking
Perfect.
about the same. Read from contract and write to contract. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect. So try it out. If there are any problems, reach out to us. And yeah, we can jump on a call or however we can to help you guys out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other
Are you
questions?
also yeah, are you also getting the other data that we have talked on the call, like followers count and other data?
Yes, okay, you're that person. Yes, so we have a release that we need to push out today. Unfortunately, there were some delays on our end because this is a very hectic week. But most probably today or sometime today, we will be pushing out that release. So I already talked to you about the reputation score. I know, I think I remember now. And yeah, just stay tuned on Discord. I'll do the announcement as soon as the tests are done and the release is out. So hopefully you guys can, get in on the weekend in your hacker mode, pull on your hacker caps, and then like start coding. So yeah, you can like already test out the basic structure, but that information would come pretty soon.
I mean, I would just say that for now, you can already start like this integration and integrate with whatever data you have. And if you don't have enough data, you can just mock it and basically complete your workflows. Because in the end of the day, you receive a JSON. If you already tried it, you'll know that you're receiving a JSON once you connect Twitter. So in the end, so the JSON format will change, right? It will have more attributes, and then you just need to adapt your those values. So right now, you can already imagine that you're getting. So you can create some variables about reputation scores or verifier count and stuff, and you can build the whole workflow whatever you want to build. So I'm not sure what is your use case, but if you want to add a chain link integration or whatever whatever your use case is, you can already like do it. And maybe sometime during the week we then push this release and we tell you that now this object is much more enriched, and then you just need to adapt how you're parsing that object, right? But I guess even if you don't do it in the end, it's still okay, because for the scope of this hackathon, we are more like exploring the use cases. And if you still like mock some data, which is not actually coming from Twitter right now because the data is not like our APIs are not up to date. But still, I mean, the bigger picture is complete. Like you still integrate the widget, you use it to some extent, and if you mock some data, you make a case, about a use case. It's perfectly fits for the submission, anyways. So that's not an issue for the scope of
Yeah,
this hackathon.
yeah, you will
But I
still
would
be
say don't
eligible
Okay,
stay
for.
blocked
so
because of
I'm going
this.
to hard code it for now.
Yeah, perfect. That's the idea. So don't stay blocked.
Yeah,
And yeah, if real data comes, that would be even better, right? So let's see. We're also trying to fix some things right now on the real time.
Okay, Krishna, maybe you'd also like to talk about the use case that you're working on. So, with the reputation score, what exactly is it that you're trying to achieve there? I'm really interested in the use case as well.
actually, as we have discussed, we are currently told that you are creating a platform where we are able to collect the data of the user from different platforms also, right? So can you just imagine a platform where user can come and just data, and whenever any research institute or any person who wants can come and join it, like grab the data. That's all the use cases that I was talking about.
Right. Yeah, yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
there was a platform that uses for that research work. Yes,
Yeah,
actually,
I think we lost you a
I
little bit
think
in there.
I'll complete the platform by tomorrow.
Just send us a message if you want to discuss anything. We can also jump on a short call. We'll be available during the weekend too.
Oh, thanks. That will be really helpful.
I want to talk about. I think you asked me, I can answer then. So we're building a P2P backend protocols for building a Web3 apps. So right now, if you build a Web3 app, you still use your Web2 IPs and domains and servers. So what we are trying to do is that you don't need to buy servers or domains or IPs. You do it on a Web3 backend. So right now we have implemented our own identity chain and a protocol, but we are interested in using plurality as a social connect as a sign-in, and we also want to like plurality to support so that our users can still sign elsewhere with that. So if they already have an identity on our platform, they can use that identity to sign into other tabs that uses Plurality.
Yeah, perfect. That's actually a very good use case because we want this profile technology that we are creating to be interoperable. And ideally, yeah, the kind of DApp that you're talking about makes perfect sense. So if somebody already has a profile, they can connect with you or create one on your platform and then reuse the same one on any other platform. Pretty cool. Just one heads up to everyone. So when you do your submissions, make sure that in the GitHub README, you guys actually write one or two paragraphs about your actual use case. Diksha, did we already send out like the instructions for the submission, or this is something that we still need to do?
Diksha is not here, but I guess
Okay.
instructions are already there on the found nouns page, so should be.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Hi, Hira.
Hi.
As we discussed about the project that we were working on, I wanted to ask how can we retrieve the interest points that Plurality will provide us at the backend?
So, interest. What do you mean by like interest points? Like all
For
possible
suppose,
interests or
yeah, for suppose we have integrated the Plurality button, but how do we get the like? How can we retrieve the interest points, like different interests, all kinds of interests?
so yeah, okay, maybe let me share the screen again.
Okay.
Um okay, I've already connected so I cannot do it again. But like when you connect with your Twitter or your Facebook, it integrates all the interests that you have. There So we don't have a fixed list of interests because we don't want to limit the people to like let's say 20 or 30 interests. We based on
Okay.
your social activity, there can be as many interests as possible, but it would be tags like technology or entertainment. In your particular use case, would it help you if we publish a list of the like all possible interests? So do you want to do some sort of tag matching or what is it that you want to do with that?
I think you guys providing a list would be very helpful for us.
Okay, that's a good feedback. Maybe we can add that in the docs. Right now we don't have a list because we are not fixing the number of tags, but I see your point. Okay, I'll
Think
discuss this
that would just
internally.
help us achieve data on a larger scale.
Yes, because you're doing, if I remember correctly, you're the team with the DAO governance protocol.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, and you want to figure out like based on the and you're doing the feed curation of the DAO proposals, right?
yeah.
Okay, and that is why you need the tags. Okay, I'll discuss this internally with my team and we'll come up with a solution to help you out.
So
I'll
right
send
now
you a
these
message.
interests, right now
Hmm?
these interests are pretty dynamic. So we don't have fixed tags. I mean, we can try to cluster them together, but the idea was that they are, yeah, they are kind of like a stream. So, for example, if you go to Twitter, so basically what we have is that at the back end we have some AI agents which are scraping your Twitter information, so like kind of aggregating it all, and then they are like they are doing semantic analysis, and then after doing the semantic analysis, they kind of figure out that you are interested in, let's say, blockchain or technology or politics, right, or language,
Right,
linguistics.
right.
So I mean, it's not really like right now we don't have a list against which we match because it's really dynamic. Like people could be talking about infinity things. Like I could be talking about art, somebody could be talking about cars, maybe. So it's like this. So I'm not sure if we can
So I
really
think
achieve this.
it's mostly based on simple hashes. So I think
It's
it's
more like
fine if we name the proposals by ourselves itself. Uh, tags rather.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's more like this, like we have hashtags, right? I mean, they could be like dynamic
Right,
hashtags
right.
in Twitter. So it's exactly similar to this. So you could do some. I mean, I would advise you. Honestly, it would be pretty cool if you could do it. Just use Grok API. Grok is another AI engine, just like ChatGPT. And this API is also freely available, very easy to use. Or
Okay.
you can also use any other AI engine. Just use that API and ask this API to do like make a prompt and say that here are the tags and here is like the other set of data, and then just do the matching for you, and it will really do this matching automatically. And it can also like do synonyms, for example, if I'm talking about technology and then there is some other information about computers, so it's intelligent enough to know that computers are technology. So it can like figure out all these things on its own to some extent. So you can use AI, and then it will be pretty cool because you will be doing AI for your pattern matching and connecting two things together. So I think this will
Okay.
really really improve your use case. Other than that, yeah, I would highly suggest to use AI. It's also pretty, everybody's like kind of looking at it, right? So it would be really interesting to see what you make out of it, instead of doing the
Okay.
string matching.
Okay.
Mushwa, would
Okay.
it make sense to like give a URL of the Grok API to the team as well?
I'll figure out and provide you. I mean, you can just, it's like the website is very simple, x.ai, and then you need to try it somehow. So, yeah, wait a second.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I will share you maybe
Do
in
you have the
Discord.
contact
Discord.
In,
details? Yeah, Discord is fine.
yeah, so are you in Plurality Discord?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I am there.
we have a hackathon channel there, so I will add this information over there.
Okay, okay.
Perfect. Are there any other interesting use cases that you want to discuss?
Yeah, we are also trying to like study chain agnosticism or multi-chain storage of identities. So I think you're already doing that, or you're working on that. So I guess probably we could work together and not rather reinvent the wheel, if that makes sense.
So, what's your use case like? Once you have this multi-chain identity, what do you want to do with it afterwards? You also mentioned something about domains and IPs.
Yeah. So basically, the, the if you as a example use case, just imagine two people in the world. One wants to serve an app, the other wants to receive that app, right? So and then they have their complex. So like the user, the client, with the one who's consuming the service, he has loads of data which he doesn't want to store on his own or on his local device, but he stores that on his chain. And then the person who's serving it, he also has some metadata and stuff that he wants to share with the client. So and also they have a common message history chain, right? So if a service is interacting with the client, so they have a common uh, like a history of interaction. So say if I'm messaging you, so that history would be just our messages. So we're trying to store that on an agnostic chain. So is that also, does that make sense? Oh, okay. If it
Um,
doesn't, we probably
I
have I could demo you it and etc.
No, I'm just trying to comprehend actually, but would be nice if you could, yeah, maybe we could have another, like, go on a deeper call, to
Yeah, yeah.
discuss in detail. Maybe just write some words on this idea, and I would really like to jam with you. So yeah.
Yeah, well, like a simple metaphor for it could be like if two people just want to chat, normal chat, right?
Hmm.
So they want to store the chat history on a something that not either of them controls, and they want to store that on a decentralized like storage that may be a
right.
chain.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
and both of them drop offline for periods of time because we
yeah,
are not on. So
yeah,
they
yeah,
want to put, if somebody sends a message while the other is offline, so he actually sent that message and what that message was.
yeah.
So so
This is
yeah,
Yeah,
so
true.
that's
Makes sense,
normally
right? I mean, for example, we could use ceramic for this,
Orbit
right?
Social,
Orbit
Mustafa.
Social, yeah. So basically, there is another SDK. We can Yeah, we can
I
go
can
to,
share the link. Give
yeah,
me
we
a
can share
second.
the link. It's they have a simple SDK. You could just use it, and they're using a decentralized storage network. And then you can just sign up through Plurality, and then after this, because we are what we are doing is that we are creating these profiles, and you can use the same profile then to send the messages. So there's like a native integration that actually exists. So they're creating a social platform actually, and social platform, I think they have a feature to send messages as well, even if it's not that, but you can maybe create a shared space between the two people, and then you can update a sequence of messages over there. I'm not sure how the chat will look like. I mean, of course, on their side it's like a database in the end, right? It's not exactly a database, but you get it right. So you can write this data in encrypted files on ceramic network. And yeah, basically, just look into the Orbit Social SDK, and maybe we could. I'm really curious for this integration, by the way, because as I understand, this is natively supported as well through Plurality profiles that you're creating. But would like to see how you achieve it, or maybe if you have challenges using Plurality profiles for this, we can also discuss it.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Also, could we receive the slides for this session?
Yes, I guess you're also recording it, so you will get the recording anyways, and maybe also slide deck. That's also fine. Yeah. But yeah, if you
Okay, then
yeah, I would really like to see actually this implementation. So maybe or if you have any challenges, just let me know. We could try to debug or brainstorm on this
just got
together.
it. Like, let's set up a meeting sometime. I'll reach out on Discord.
Perfect,
Perfect.
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 Okay, are there any other ideas that you want to discuss? If no, then I can just talk about some of the ideas that I've been thinking about. So of course, I mean there's a use cases page on our docs, so you can of course go there and think about different use cases. There we not talk about actual product ideas, rather we talk about different directions or like high level areas where different use cases could be found. But other use cases would be more, we've been brainstorming about a networking app, for example. Imagine that there are different events happening in a city. So for example, right now there's Berlin Blockchain Week, and in this event, in this Blockchain Week, there are 80 events. They are taking place at the same time. So which means that in 8 days there are going to be 80 events. So that's roughly 8 days, 8 events, one per day. And of course, these like they are in all areas of blockchain, right? So for example, if I'm into social use cases on blockchain, I might want to go into the event from Lens, for example, or Farcaster, or maybe Plurality. And I might not be interested in um, some Ethereum related event, for example, or maybe, but you get the idea. So you have different interest groups even in one uh one topic. So basically, we could have, or you want to meet interesting people, so you need to see like which people are working in the same area as well, because there's like so much noise. So in order to reduce this noise and find relevant overlaps, we could explore this sort of a platform where people kind of use their Plurality profile so they can sign up. And of course, during the sign up process, they bring in their interest, and then you do some sort of interest matching. uh, and then you see these people have similar interests, and then you get them together. This could be actually a very nice social platform as well, interest based social platform, where you recommend other people to you, or you recommend other events to you. So it's like you can imagine like all sorts of use cases. This could be I mean, even something like Tinder, right? So you could recommend other people, who are in the same interest group, right? So you could make friends, for example. You could have communities. You could even build communities, interest based communities, through this. So it really opens a whole set of use cases. So anything in this direction would be really interesting to see, based on common interest. One of the other use cases that we've been brainstorming or discussing was something like ever growing communities. So basically, you can form communities based on these interest groups. So, for example, and DAO, for example, people can enter a certain DAO or community if they qualify certain criteria. If they are talking about these things on Twitter, for example, and you somehow determine a certain reputation score, or you somehow verifiably get this information that they are really interested in these topics. you can let them in, and then you have a certain context about the user, and then after that they produce a lot of content. So they could be like a social graph where they are interacting. So if like it's an open community or DAO, there are different proposals, or they discuss different topics or different standards, and all this information kind of gets accumulated into this knowledge graph, right? You could use Lens protocol for this, or Orbis, like we talked about, for this building this knowledge graph. And then you could have an AI engine on top, which kind of consumes all this data from this knowledge graph, and it could just be a chat report. So the biggest problem for communities these time is about marketing, right, and explaining what are they doing, or what is it about, right, for any project for that matter. So and in order to make it easy, imagine like you are building a community or a DAO, and then somebody can simply come to your website and talk to a AI chatbot, asking about what's latest going on in your DAO, what are the latest proposals, what is this community about, anything. So basically, it's like ever growing knowledge set about this community, where you have a dedicated chat engine, and you have people, like for example, who is the best front end developer in your community, or what, and then it can recommend people that these are the front end developers, these are back end developers, these are the artists, and then you can recommend the right people from your community, or you can say, okay, this problem could be solved by this person, and this person knows more about this particular topic, and that they can recommend you people, or so this is something like this kind of social platform, which do not really exist right now, could be imagined. So like those social platforms for future, where you simply ask, just like you go to a group of friends and you ask something, right? Or we humans ask for information from each other. We could actually ask for information from communities using AI, instead of really going through the docs. I mean, for example, if you go to Ethereum magician forums, or maybe Reddit, you just need to search something, and you need to read a lot of posts, right, to find the relevant information, or just see what's hot, what's going on these days, right? What's new. So what are the latest topics they're looking at. But in this way, you can basically just sign in, and maybe ask questions through chatbot. So but this something could also be done through Plurality. So basically, a lot of such ideas, where you can see that we can connect research, some area of based on area of interest. We can interest two communities, two people, two things together. Their Plurality makes a lot of sense. Or where you can enable some sort of discovery, right, and some sort of filtering of content. Their Plurality can play a huge role. And I think in these, like right now in SocialFi, this is and of course an ever growing field, and a lot of apps will come up, and I think your apps might also be in them. Yeah, so you could also use Plurality as a base layer for discovery.